Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Unfucking Your CX. I'm your host, Zach Hamilton, and I'm really looking forward to today's conversation because the guest that we have in the hot seat, Rasmus, he was featured on a top 50 global CX leaders list with me from the CX Academy. And I reached out to Rasmus last week. He was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I think he was a couple glasses of wine in
Might have
late
been. I may or may not have been.
late Friday afternoon when I was reaching out to feature those leaders. So Rasmus, welcome to the podcast. Come to the hot seat.
Thank you so much, Zach. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really looking to this conversation because I think both of us have kind of that same personality of let's stop with the bullshit and just really get to it. So I'm curious. I always like to ask that question to set the scene. Maybe I should ask, what's the drink of choice that you typically have when you start to have these creative conversations that we're about to have?
I would in the morning would be coffee. I stopped drinking coffee at 1 p.m. though. So tea. Sometimes I drink like mushroom infused, not shrooms, but mushroom infused coffee in the morning as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Have you
that's my morning drink of choice.
I love it. From the mushroom infused, have you heard of the brand Rise, RYZE, here in the States? Yeah, it's a very it's essentially a mushroom coffee. I really enjoy that. And Luis, who's the CX practitioner at that, he was on the podcast not too long ago. I'll have to get him to send you a bag.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, definitely want to try that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rasmus, top 50 global thought leader. You've seen a lot in customer and employee experience. You work with a lot of organizations. What's that one thing that's just like really burning you right now, really making you cringe that you want to unfuck today?
Yeah. So at a like a general level or top level, high level, I would say it's the wasted opportunities of connecting with customers automatically with something that's personalized and relevant. With all this data that organizations have at their disposal, and with the, I mean, there's no shortage of tools to do the integration. There's no shortage of tools to do the automation. And still, I see so much out there that is just way below par, and that is so much beneath customers' expectations. And I'm figuring it will also be disappointing for senior managers because this has no effect at all. So we're talking people, organizations who claim they've done proper personalization, they've done proper marketing automation. And when I then, for instance, as a consumer, see the result, I realize and I understand why it doesn't work because it's simply not using the data as it should be.
Look, I love this topic because I think we've been talking about personalization, right, for the last 10 or 15 years. And to your point about subpar experiences, there's a one brand that I'm thinking about that I've connected so much data to, right? It's an athletic brand. I mean, I've connected data to. I am a loyal customer. Our family spends. I mean, we're a gold member now. Like our family spends ridiculous amount of money with this athletic brand. And here, of course, with the holiday time, Rasmus, we just got this like mailer, and it just had product on there that like it had baseball and softball kind of product on there. And if you look at our order history, like I have one daughter in soccer, one daughter in volleyball, which is what we're purchasing. From myself, it's more just like general running shoes or workout. And I'm just thinking to myself, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how hard can it be? I mean, we're not even talking like individualized hyper personalization here. We're just talking like simple segmentation. I mean, imagine you going on, I don't know, Netflix or HBO, and it isn't personalized for you. You would be appalled by that.
Yeah.
Yet that's what we see in 9 out of 10 emails and 9 out of 10 websites. It's just completely bland.
Yeah, I remember the early days of Netflix and even Hulu, right? When you were just you're spending so much time searching for what you want to potentially watch. Now they have it so dialed in just based on, what you've watched, your history. I mean, it's such a great experience. I enjoy it at least. Maybe it convinces me to watch too much because it's typically right on the money of what I would watch. But I'm curious before we get.
Remember, it's a personalization agent that is taking care of the interests of Netflix and not the interest of yourself. So
Yeah,
bear
absolutely.
that in mind.
Absolutely. I'm curious though, Rasmus, why do you think we cannot finally get this right?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I know for the viewers and listeners who doesn't know it, I've written this book called Hello First Name, which does of course include the long form of the answer that I'm going to give now. And I think there are many facets to it. Before diving into it, I want to share like an example where it becomes extremely concrete what these missed opportunities could look like, if that's
Go
all
for
right.
it. Yeah, go for it.
So it's I'm not going to mention any brand names here, but it's a bakery store, a chain of bakeries here in Scandinavia and also abroad. They, I recently received I mean, to be fair, it's some months ago. They may have changed it and updated it since then. Uh, Received what was clearly a win bag email from them. So the way their loyalty scheme works is that you have an app, and then you attach a credit card to it, and whenever you pay with that credit card, it will realize or so give you points for that purchase and register that purchase with your customer loyalty account. And I received a "We miss you" email, and first of all, it was yeah, "We miss you." There's nothing wrong with like a subject line like that, but then the content of the email was completely generic. It says there's an image of, I think it might even have been where I normally go and shop, so they did get that right. And then it said, "We miss you. We have bread and cakes for sale." End of story. And I couldn't help sort of, my mind started spinning on the missed opportunities in that email. I mean, they got the timing right, and probably someone within that company is saying, yeah, we have win back flows and we set them up already, and it's on email and we have good open rates.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it doesn't convert at all, because if there's one thing I'm not in doubt of, then it is the fact that they have bread and cakes because they're a bakery. So tell me something that I don't know. You have bread and cakes. That's very fine. Also, they claim to be missing me, although that's very nice and fine. I don't think anyone there is like personally missing me down there. Also, it could have been that I just changed my credit card. I mean, you couldn't know whether maybe I was actually there. I was using somebody else's credit card. Someone else was paying at that time. Maybe my credit card expired and I had to update it. And that's so what they actually know is not that they haven't seen me. What they know is that my credit card hasn't been scanned down there for some time. So they are assuming that I hadn't been there. So mistake number one, they didn't sort of, they assumed too much, right? Second thing is that I've been swiping my card down there for quite some time, and I know they do have bread and cakes. I get that much, and I've experienced that, and that's probably also sort of what I buy. But they have my purchase history. Why not put something in there that would show to me that they know me and that they take my purchases seriously? So last time you were here, you bought X, you bought Y. And since they believe that they are missing me, why not give me something? For instance, like a discount on something that I normally buy. So no incentive, no nothing, just saying we miss you and we've got bread and cakes, honestly. On top of that, how about maybe there's probably like ongoing campaigns and discounts and offers that was going on at the time they were sending this email. Why weren't they part of the email? I'm thinking, and they're probably, the story is probably internally, and I'm guessing here that we're done. I mean, check, we did the win back
Yeah.
automation, and for some reason it isn't working for us, and we don't know why. And for me, it's just so bleeding obvious that of course it doesn't work, because you're telling people that you haven't seen that you have bread and cakes, and it's so damn obvious. And yeah, just made me laugh.
I have a similar. I'm laughing because I have a similar story to that. I posted this on LinkedIn a while ago. I have a habit. There's a big coffee chain, global coffee chain here. You could probably guess which one it is. And I have a loyalty card. I fill it up. Even when I travel internationally, I go to that place to get my coffee. Right. I use the mobile app, order ahead. boom, it's done. For Lent, I gave up. Yeah,
which is
which is
good.
great.
I mean, convenience comes first. I mean, personalization comes later.
Absolutely. So for Lent, I gave up sugar. So that meant my coffee, because I like extra cream in it, I gave up, basically gave it up. For 40 days, I didn't hear once from this company. And I purchase every day, which is, it ends up being about a $6 cup of coffee every day. When I finally went back in after Easter, the store manager was like, I figured you were just gone for 4 weeks. I had no, she's like, we had no clue, what happened. And I'm like, well, I'm curious, like, do you ever get a list of like your top kind of local spenders, right? Who are within a certain mile radius around your store that you could even call and invite back in? She's like, no, we don't have that. Now, Rasmus, for December, I've given up caffeine. So I'm 2 weeks in. I haven't gone and gotten my coffee. And guess what? No push notification from the app. I haven't even gotten a "we miss you"
We've
email,
got coffee.
or at least we got coffee and shitty pastries. Like,
Yeah.
so
What they
to
could do, what they should do to unfuck that, if I can be so blunt, is to first of all do some of the stuff that I mentioned before, but they
yeah.
could also ask you a question. They could say,
Yeah.
this is what we know. We don't have a transaction that we can relate to. That's what they know.
What I was laughing
They can
about.
be curious and they can ask, so why is this the case? Is it because A, you, I don't know, lost your phone and your wallet, or you moved somewhere, or because you are giving up a caffeine? They could revert to you again saying that they also have decaf, by the way. I mean, there are many options for just going into a dialogue instead of just assuming stuff.
100%. And it's so interesting. But the reason why I was laughing kind of during your story is I was just thinking, I probably haven't hit their timed trigger yet of "we miss you," right?
That could also be the case.
Days. So when we think about this, we think about all this data that most consumers now are opting in, right? I opt in with companies that I trust. I give them a lot of my data. I will connect, for example, with this company, I've connected my airline loyalty club. So I earn extra points when I'm traveling. I'm sharing second party data with each other. My hotel now that I frequent is LinkedIn. So all three of these are LinkedIn. They all have my data. I trust them. I travel with them frequently. Why? I mean, let's unfuck this. What's player tip number one for companies? Just to at least hit minimum standard.
Yeah. I think first of all, it's getting clear on definitions. So if you're saying that you want to personalize the customer experience, you need to be more nuanced as to what that is. And that's one of the main topics that I'm covering in Hello First Name. So it's sort of what is the definition, and in a more nuanced fashion, what is a model? I put a model in there which is called the bow tie personalization. We can maybe cover that later, which is basically saying that personalization is about matching your customer insights with your content, period.
Mm.
But insights come in many forms, which we won't go into today, and content comes in many forms. And then depending on which of these forms that you are leveraging at one time or another, you'll be talking about how you're personalizing your campaigns, how you're personalizing your marketing automation, or how you're personalizing your inbound platform experience as in your on your website or in your app. So depending on where you're coming at personalization from, which angle, you'll be addressing and you'll be attacking this differently, and there will be different focus points. So just give me a quick example of that. So if you want to personalize the way that you're doing your campaigns, for instance, you will be looking very deeply into, first of all, which segments that you want to expose to the campaign in the first place, both on paid media and owned media. And you'll be looking into how can you maybe have message variants, so the message, the content that you are meeting these people with and with which you are trying to get their attention. How does that fit each of the segments that you're trying to catch their attention, and also the choice of channels depending on especially the cost. So what are you willing to give in order to put this message in front of which segment? So that would be actually that would be the top of the bow tie. Whereas if you're working with marketing automation, you wouldn't necessarily pay as much attention to the segments, but more so the customer life cycle, as in the moments of truth. The moments of truth within the customer life cycle. Do we have outbound messages that connect to these moments and genuinely help the customer move on to the next stage in their life that involves our brand? and how many of these moments do we connect to, and you do that as a focus. And so depending on where you're coming from, it'll be a different focus points. And that's one of the biggest barriers, that people don't agree on these things. You ask anybody what personalization is within marketing, everybody would say that they know what it is. If you then ask them what it is, then they'll come up with completely different answers. Some will be saying, oh, it's all about data. Some will be saying it's about relevance. Some will say it's individualization. Some will say segmentation. Some will say email marketing. Some will say programmatic advertising or whatever. Some will say suppression rules. Some will, so many answers exist. And until you unite them like in a sort of common model or a system of belief, you'll never align on how you achieve that.
I think that's the perfect first player tip here, because I was in this conversation with a CMO on LinkedIn the other day talking about personalization, and it was really funny. I asked her, "Well, what is the definition of personalization?" And her reply was, "We all know what it is. Stop fucking
Yeah,
around."
tell me then.
And that's what I said. I came back and I said, "Well, then help me understand, right?" And quite frankly, the experience of personalization that I want is probably different than what you want or you expect. And I think you're so spot on. Brands have to define what personalization means to them within their own brand's experience. What's the level of expectations your customers have, right? Because if you are a luxury brand, for example, your customers have a different level of personalization than a convenience store, right?
Totally.
So I love how you're like, let's just get aligned. What is it? What does it mean for our brand? What's player tip number two?
Yeah. So one thing is having a model that you understand and that everybody sort of can agree to, and this is the definition, and these are the moments of truth that we want to address in marketing automation, or having those definitions dialed in. I hoped that by writing these things down in a book and doing presentations on the topic, I've been mostly touring Europe, but also had the odd trip to Melbourne down under at the Martech World Forum, and also in London quite a few times. I realized that while people may understand the model and the concepts within it and sort of nod and give their sort of agreements to that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can take it from the abstract and then apply it into the concrete use cases still. So I gave that a lot of thought, and I thought, why isn't that the case? Because I have in the book, for instance, there are a lot of use cases for how you are, or case studies of how would you personalize campaigns, how would you do marketing automation, how would you do on-site personalization, and yet there's this telling the story to people and them not inventing it on their own. This not invented here syndrome. So I thought, why don't I bite size some examples that people can then make their own, so to speak. So basically what I did is that I took the effort to build these personalization cards. So it's like conversation cards, really, and they exist in 4 different industries. You have the commerce edition, you have the subscription edition, you have the banking edition, you have the charity NGO edition, and there's a lot of blank cards in there that you can use as well. So if you are with your team, maybe agreeing on the framework, but maybe not sort of agreeing on which segments to address or to do something particularly targeted with, then you can, there's one color of the cards which would relate to, for instance, the segments. So there's like 50 examples of segments here. So whether it be behavioral segments or value-based segments or demographic segments. So if you cannot, with your team, while you're looking into your marketing automation tool or your CDP or whatever, come up with the creative ideas for, okay, which segments do we need to focus on, then you can use these 50 examples to have a conversation, put it on the table, spread them out, and start talking about which of these are the most important for you in your campaign or in your business. So for subscription-based company, it could be, trial subscribers, for instance. What do we do with them? Next, reiterate, make the same exercise for the moments of truth cards. So which moments of truth do we meet a trial subscriber in? and what should we tell them in terms of all the examples that you can have for the different messages, whether it be campaign messages or lifecycle messages. Sometimes combining them, so you have maybe like a top level message that could be Merry Christmas, for instance, but then you have more like promotional messages beneath that. So in secondary or tertiary row, like who gets the free shipping, who gets this is a particular discount for you, and also which recommendations do you then put in there as well, which content feeds. So it could be articles, it could be products, it could be content items, whatever, and ultimately which channel. So basically playing the personalization poker game with your team, figuring out, so what are our key personalization use cases, really playing the card with this tactile version of it. That I've been overwhelmed with the response, the positive response I've gotten for that.
Yeah, I love how you break it down into just that the simplicity of the five different colors, right? The five different playing cards, essentially. What I've realized is simplicity and clarity are two keys that are just missing in strategy today. We're not clear on what's the problem we're trying to solve, right? In this case, what are we trying to solve with personalization? And then from the simplicity of it, we want to over engineer everything versus really just think about the simplicity of one message landing well. Just that one. What if we just bring in their purchase history and we just start there from a promotional kind of message, right? I love this. Has anyone bet on the game yet? Like, is there money being thrown around on tables or?
You can purchase the cards. So that's as much money that
No poker faces then on the marketing team, right?
and you always put them like face up. So the idea is that this is really a tool that you can use together with your team. So instead of you and me trying to have a conversation about what we should do, then it can be sort of a quickly turn into who's right and who's not right and who gets their way and whatever. Whereas if you have the cards spread out on the table, you could sort of divert the attention and the dialogue into let's get this thing that we have here on the table, let's get that right so we
Yeah.
all come out better.
I love it. And it also helps with just that A/B testing piece, right? Let's A/B test it. Let's see what works best.
You can do that too.
Player tip. What's the third player tip, Rasmus?
Yeah, it's obviously how you organize, which is not one answer. I mean, it's a very very big answer. But because once you have like the strategy in place and you know which use cases that you want to go with, it's about getting it in there. I mean, you probably already have a tool, and the tool is probably all right. So depending on which use case that you're looking at, it could be your product recommendation system for your website, it could be your marketing automation system, or sometimes people will use the same customer engagement platform for their campaigns and into their paid media. So tech is probably already there, and obviously you should know you should have the skills needed to operate your tech. But more so, it's how you it is. I mean, it is about tech maturity. That's like one pillar of it, but it's also the way that you put together your teams and the skills that they have. Do you have the right skills to do this on a consistent basis? Can you automate it over time and so on as you gradually mature? And it's about your governance and your processes as well. So if you want to break through the glass ceilings from like a hack maturity level to pack to stack, then there are certain things that you need to do differently. There are certain processes that you need to follow or that you should invent and that you should keep and that you should implement.
Yeah, I think this is another great key, especially around what's your internal capability and skill set to be able to drive the system, the governance, and everything that you're talking about. I think one of the key pieces that I'm seeing on the CX side is we talk about the feedback loop, right? But we never really activate the feedback loop. So for your example on your email where you got the traditional message, right? Their open rates probably look great, but it's not driving behavior. And so I wonder, do they do a postmortem on them? Do they use feedback to look at this and say, hey, look, we had a
Do
great
they
open,
know it's dead at all? Yeah.
but we
I mean,
didn't drive any really behavior or it was very minimal. Like
what
what's our
was the success
learning?
parameter? Was that going live or was it
Yeah.
actually a business parameter?
Yeah, did we hit, were we obviously we're not as effective, but what's the key learning from this? And so I think that's the piece that we miss so much in
I'll
strategy.
give you an example on that because it just an example came to my mind. So because if you're doing, for instance, marketing automation or just personalization in general, the goal for the company will always be something related to money. So it's but the thing that is different is whether it's money now or it's money later.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you can say it's about either chasing the conversion, which is equal to money now, or it will be making the customer feel good, feel heard. You want to be helpful, perceived as helpful, or you want to drive some given experience or drive some sort of like social capital. And that's not money now, that's money later. So that's sort of long-term loyalty. So either it's conversion or it's CLV, customer lifetime value, basically. And the thing is with the CLV things that it's sort of you need to bet, place a bet and say, we believe this will benefit us later. Because, I mean, if you're asking senior management and you're behind on budget, you'll be asked to implement all the conversion ones. But if you never help the customer, if you're always asking for more or begging for more or selling something, you will lose on the long-term thing. And one of the clients that I'm working with is the Swedish Red Cross. And they're doing this for one of the emails in the marketing automation setup, they have one which is basically saying thank you for the donations that were made. So they're sending this out to people who did a donation, and depending on how large the donation was, they'll be telling you what the equivalent of the donation is in terms of like nut cream that's really nourishing for families in need, or amount of drinkable water, or stuff like that. So how much can this money buy? So this may be, I don't know, whatever, $100 for you, but this can buy so many families this much nut cream or milk or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're not expecting you to, they're not asking anything. They're just letting you know, hey, thank you. Money's well spent. Trust us. We've got this, and we're very, very thankful. And in the bottom of and they will be doing eventually, they'll be doing like CLV analysis on this,
Yeah.
and saying, okay, so what does this mean in terms of propensity to get the next donation and whatnot? But what they're doing as a proxy metric before that, and that's kind of my point, what people should do. They're putting in like a small survey. Basically, it's a set of links that you can click. Did you find this message useful or helpful? I don't recall the exact wording. Do you find this message helpful? 1 to 5. And then people click in, and they can get an idea for, okay, did you are people appreciating that we're sending this out, or are they not? So they get a proxy for how are we making customers feel by doing this. I just think that's a brilliant way of gauging it, even though you cannot maybe immediately figure out what the effects are on customer lifetime value.
Yeah, I think that's such a solid example. Rasmus, it's been great. I would love to continue to talk about this conversation. So you're going to have to come back to the hot seat. But if any of our listeners want to go deeper on this conversation with you, I know we'll plug the links to your book and playing cards in the newsletter. But where can they find you?
I mean, they can definitely find me on LinkedIn. Rasmus Højlund. Don't confuse me with Rasmus Højlund, who is playing for Napoli football team in Italy. Isn't a confusion that's often made. You can find my personal website on omnichannel.institute.com, and you can find the company that I work for, Agilic. It's a marketing automation technology provider in the Nordics, at agilic.com.
Yeah, and for all of our listeners, we will link all of this in the newsletter below. So just click in the newsletter, look at the links at the top. We'll also link Rasmus's book and playing cards. Rasmus,
I should maybe mention that there's actually a course. I mean, now we're entering holiday season, and if you are the only one stuck at work and there's not much to do, or if you didn't get the salary raise that you wanted, maybe you can get a course instead. Or if you couldn't give the salary increase that you wanted, there's actually a digital course that is built on the personalization cards and on the framework of the book. Let's put a link to that as well.
yeah, we'll do that. Absolutely. For all of our listeners, we'll absolutely do that. Because trust me, there's no one wasting time over the holiday break scrolling LinkedIn looking for the Napoli football player. Rasmus, again, thank you so much. Come back soon.
Thank you so much.